Hello, respected viewers. It's George from Ireland. So welcome back to my channel once more. And in this video, I'm going to be assessing the supposed content of Spare, which is Prince Harry's autobiography, which is coming out in 4 days' time. So supposedly, no copies are going to be leaked. They weren't going to give it in advance to any reviewers. Now, sometimes you try and titillate the public by flashing a bit, giving people a bit of a taster, really whet the popular appetite for the book. But other times, no, it's going to be in purdah. But anyway, so it'll be printed at the last possible minute, so it can't be leaked. But some of the Spanish language editions have already been printed, and one of those was obtained by the Guardian newspaper, the most anti-monarchist newspaper in the United Kingdom. So from the Spanish translation, we do have some of the content, assuming that this is accurate, what the Guardian's reporting. And the Guardian, I've got many disagreements with its editorial line, but I don't doubt its accuracy. Was it CP Scott who said, comment is free, but facts are sacred. You have to be accurate when you're making a statement of fact. So I am horrified but unsurprised by the content of it. As I said, I shan't be reading a copy because of its sheer predictability. Well, prophetic words. So things that like Prince Harry and Prince William, they pleaded with their father not to wed Camilla, who is now the Queen. Remember, he married her, I think, in March of 2005. So that's 8 years after Princess Diana died. And that's about my goodness, about 9 years after the divorce between Charles and Diana was finalized. I mean, why shouldn't he marry the person that he loves? Now, I understand that a stepmother is not always liked by the children, nor is a stepfather, but he has the right to do so. And some of this is actually, in a way, quite tedious. The banal family squabbles you'd expect to find in most families. So it humanizes the royal family. But I can't remember who said, don't let too much daylight in on the magic. It sounds like a Walter Bagehot thing, because they become too ordinary. People want them to be extraordinary, almost superhuman. They were seen as semi-divine in some countries. We no longer touch for the king's evil to cure scrofula, but it becomes tawdry. They're just mundane. They are all too human. These idols really do have feet of clay. So he carries on with his monathon, making millions from it. But what is he against? Entitlement. Oh yeah, so why don't you give up your actual titles? Renounce the title Prince, renounce the title Duke of Sussex, and your good wife as well. And why on earth is anybody here paying to read about your family squabbles? These quarrels in the family are only newsworthy because of the title, because you're a prince. If you're an unemployed ex-army officer, who would want to know? Someone who's only ever made money by bad-mouthing his family and feeling sorry for himself, who doesn't have any higher qualifications, hasn't really achieved much, was in the army for 10 years and rose to what rank was it? Cornet, something like that. But then again, I suppose you can boast that he killed 25 Taliban. Is that true or not? I don't know. And apparently that's really not the done thing in military circles. Remember, he used to be very highly regarded, certainly by the British military, and the militaries of other countries organized those Invictus Games for wounded warriors from NATO who've been fighting in Afghanistan. And look how he's trashed his own reputation. He wanted to be Captain General of the Royal Marines. That was taken away from him. He was miffed about that. Wait a second, you're against entitlement. It doesn't automatically go to a member of the royal family. If you want to do that duty, you've actually got to be in the United Kingdom and show up. Yeah, so he wants a title without any of the burdensome duties. So that's literally entitled. Anyway, so what are the other claims that he makes? That there's some woman with magical powers who was passing in messages from other beyond the grave, like a medium or something like that. I don't know if that's is true or not. So he's a bit of a loony if he actually believed this. He claims his father didn't hug him when his mother died. People say that Prince Charles was a bit of a cold fish. I don't know that's true, but saying that Prince Charles just wasn't a very warm figure, was not expressive, and so on, and that he might be like that, something like that, which I think is unfortunate. I think it's not ideal in a father. That's also generational. He was raised to be the last Victorian. Anyway, and then he claimed that he had this physical altercation with his brother. Well, I don't find this too hard to believe. I would want to beat him up too if he was my brother. Anyway, and then Prince Harry, he claims that William thinks that Meghan was difficult, rude, and abrasive. Well, if he thinks that, he's absolutely correct. She most certainly is all of those things, in abundance. Uh, anyway, it's not uncommon for brothers to occasionally have some physical fisticuffs. I mean, not too bad. I mean, Harry's got previous himself. Harry is violent. Harry would punch photographers for doing what they were legally entitled to do, taking photos of a public figure in public. So he's a thug. Anyway, and he said his brother was parroting the press narrative. Well, there are obviously countless media outlets all around the world, but even within the British media space, there are different narratives, there are different perspectives. And you know what? The media, well, it depends which outlet you're talking about, they often tell the truth. Yeah, the mainstream media, these are not complete fantasies. You sound like Trump. Say, oh, the mainstream media is lying all the time. Actually, they very seldom are. They occasionally make an honest mistake. And if you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen. If you don't like being reported on, just fade into obscurity, shut up, get your face off my screen, allow us to forget about you. There'll be nothing to report. But no, like a glutton for punishment, he can't keep his face off the television. He just won't put a sock in it. So yeah, remember, this is from the guy who wants privacy. I want privacy. Here's how I lost my virginity. I want privacy, so here are the most private conversations in my family. I want privacy, so these are the most private, painful things ever happened to me. Just letting it all hang out. It's ludicrous. He's such an imbecile that he cannot perceive his rank hypocrisy. It is just vile. Anyway, and it goes on. So I'm not surprised if his brother did lose his temper with him. I mean, I think Harry is a liar and a fantasist, but sometimes he does tell the truth. Anyway, he claims when he was 17 that he lost his virtue to a woman who was considerably older than him, that it was humiliating. The dumbs. Oh, yeah, I bet loads of 17-year-old boys would have hated that. I suppose we'd be joining on the bandwagon of the Me Too movement, even though 16 is the age of consent in England. That I suppose he was a victim, was he? Yeah. Pull the other one. And when Prince Harry made a fool of himself going to a New Year's fancy dress party with a Afrika Korps uniform complete with a swastika armband, apparently Prince William and his then girlfriend, Catherine Middleton, laughed at him for doing so, which might be true. I don't know. They didn't actually wear the uniform. And now, this is one time I do feel Harry was a bit hard done by. He was 20. He wasn't glorifying Nazis. He was ridiculing them. And also, some rat in that party took a photo of it and then sold it to the media. So Harry the Nazi was splashed on the front page of all the tabloids. A Labour MCP said that Harry shouldn't be allowed to go to Sandhurst Royal Military Academy. Someone with such poor judgment shouldn't be allowed to be an officer in the British Army. Anyway, he was allowed. But now that Harry is part of the PC thought police, he should take a long, hard look at himself. Anyway, he claims he was abusing cocaine at the age of 17 and smoking cannabis. He took magic mushrooms. I mean, that may well all be true, but he may be a bit drug-addled. Maybe he can't think straight. These things can have lifelong effects. You can become, what's the word? Psychotic from taking these things. He claims his elder brother didn't like having eaten, having Harry eaten. I don't know if that's true. That's quite possible. It seems to be just the usual sibling rivalry. Remember, they used to be very close. Used to have clearly a very fraternal relationship. Properly fraternal, not just the fact they are biological brothers. A loving relationship until who came along and ruined it? Meghan. I mean, really, all roads lead back to Meghan. His fallout with the media, with the rest of his family, with the British military, with, I don't know, with his mind being taken over by wokery, with going on about mental health problems. It all dates from her. Okay. Oh, you're an ex-dominatrix. Well, I think Meghan's a sort of psychological dominatrix, sub-dom relationship. So someone who craves to be, treated bad. He's pussy whipped. Will Prince Andrew write his own autobiography? No, he'll fade away. I do know Andrew Lowney, a celebrated biographer, and he's writing the biography of Prince Andrew, but he's not seeking an interview. He likes to be independent, nor would one be granted. As I've often said, the best thing could happen to the House of Windsor is if Prince Andrew dies of a heart attack today. Now, failing that, if he's just never seen again, if he never says a word in public again, if the public can just forget him, that is the best case scenario. And actually, likewise with Prince Harry. Prince Harry wants reconciliation, so he claims, and keeps digging deeper, making it worse. Okay, you want reconciliation with your family. How are you going to conciliate them? What would you do to maximize your chance of achieving your stated goal, right? Of harmony in the family. of achieving solidarity once more. And he does things which are calculated to be the precise opposite, to say the most damaging, hurtful, and toxic things ever, most grossly offensive, sulfurous things, and always to rub salt into the wounds. The traitor Harry. Well, maintaining a dignified silence is one thing, but I think also stripping of the titles. But actually, only Parliament can do that. Yeah. The king can sign things to take titles, but I think only Parliament can actually take them away, can alter the line of succession, as they did, in the time of, James II, or later on William III. All right. So he claimed that he killed those people in Afghanistan. May well be true, but as I say, apparently it's not the done thing. That William suggested a village wedding for Harry and Meghan. I'm not sure if that's true or not, quite possibly. But, he's not the heir to the throne like that, so that's why it was going to be somewhere less grand. But, St. George's Chapel, Windsor was still magnificent. But they're such ingrates. They're totally unappreciative of the tens of millions of pounds of taxpayers' money spent on them. But it's not good enough. I mean, obviously, the Markle family had far grander weddings previously. Anyway, he claimed that he had panic attacks before public appearances. I don't know. He seemed to be fairly assured. Actually, again, until Meghan came along, the self-soothing gestures, the protecting himself, the touching himself. Saying his father beseeched him and his brother not to scrap. Well, I mean, again, that's not hard to believe, right? Please, boys, don't make my final years a misery. Well, a very reasonable request. And I think I can hear him saying that. Yes, he's doing the dirty. Yes, he's backstabbing his family again. Anyway, well, make your mind up. You can be in the House of Windsor, you can be out of it. If it's that unacceptable, renounce the titles. And if the royal family is that atrocious, don't show up to the coronation. I hope to see them aggressively booed and humiliated if they have the temerity to show up. But, Meghan Markle, she has a nerve. Suspect they will have the chutzpah because they just can't resist getting in the public eye once again. So the heir and the spare, yes, no shit, Sherlock. He is the spare, right? You can't have two kings in one kingdom. Well, dums, my heart bleeds for him, but he's only higher than 70 million other people in the UK. I mean, he was what in line to the throne? He was third in line to the throne for a while, and then Prince William had children. Okay, right. Thank you so much for watching my channel. Please make sure you subscribe on Patreon, donate on PayPal. I urgently need donations to keep the channel going. georgecallahan79@gmail.com. On PayPal, that's GeorgeCallahan79@gmail.com. Right. Thank you very much. Goodbye, everyone.